This is actually a second attempt at a recording. I recorded a full 8 minutes. I was going to release it. But, I talked so much about the January window, the lack of investment, the problems with the forwards, what it's left us with, the Martinelli injury. You all know that. You all know that. And my thoughts on why it was a shock that we didn't address any part of the squad, while it was negligent, why it was poor, that's all on the live I did, hour long. I broke it down in good detail. So if you want my thoughts on all that, it's there. And I sat down and as I was ready to upload it, I was editing, I thought, I haven't even talked about Arteta's cup record. And Arteta's cup record is a big, big, big problem. I thought you can't not mention. I thought I'll leave a pinned comment just to say, look, acknowledging this as well. No, this is a big story, this. Now, the reality is, and we have to acknowledge this too, Arteta would have been really left disappointed by the lack of investment, I think, in January. Unless the funds were there and he chose not to get his perfect, absolute perfect player, that's obviously on him. But unless that's the situation, he'll be disappointed with doing anything in January, fine. And that leaves him with somewhat limited options, but it's not a bad 11 that went out there. So you have to put your left winger to the right wing. That's pretty much it. Everyone else is pretty much, two of those front three started in the run-in. The other player last season, the title run-in, the other player had 50 non-penalty goals the campaign before that. That's his first choice midfield three. Outside of Ben White, that's probably our best back four. And Timber was brilliant, or decent, and has been brilliant this season. So I don't think you can really say, depleted side, lack of options, the bench looks poor, lack of difference makers. I mean, January explains all this. We know we need to address it. But if you want my thoughts on all that, why we had to sign in 3, 4, 5 positions, or at least in one of those 3, 4, 5 positions, because we've got, we've got so much to do this this summer. If you want my thoughts on that, that's all on the live. Arteta's cup record's really poor, though. Now, I'm doing this off memory, so, wish me luck, because I've got pounding headaches. I've got this horrible neck problem. Yeah, I need to go back to the osteopath. Anyway, won the FA Cup, summer of 2020. We went out of the Carabao Cup. I'm not sure to who that first season. We didn't go far. We went out of the FA Cup to Southampton, I think. We then, the season after that, got to the Carabao Cup semi-finals, went out to Liverpool, went out of the FA Cup to Nottingham Forest away. I was at that game. Season after that, we got to the Carabao Cup third round. We start in that. Knocked out by Brighton at home, 3-1. Then the FA Cup, we were knocked out by City. The season after that, we got to the... Am I thinking that's correctly? I think that's correct. Yeah, I think we then got to the season after that, which is now last season. We got to the Carabao Cup fourth round, knocked out by West Ham. And then we got to the FA Cup third round. Liverpool knocked us out at home. And this year, we got to the semi-finals of the Carabao, 4-0 defeat on aggregate to Newcastle. And then the third round defeat in the FA Cup. It's an appalling record. He competed in, I believe, 2 Europa League campaigns. I think he competed in 2 Europa League campaigns. Didn't win either of them. He actually competed in a third because he kind of took over around the knockouts, lost to Olympiacos. So that FA Cup was a golden nugget. It was an amazing moment in what's otherwise a horrific cup record. And I want cups too. I want trophies. I can stomach, to the trolling of rival fans, I can stomach being second best to City. I mean, eventually you've got to get over the line. You've got to keep doing what you've got to do to get over the line. But you know what? It happens. They have better players, a better manager, more money. It can happen. It hurts. You've got to do everything you can. Is the club doing everything they can to win it? No. But you know what? It's somewhat understandable. You can kind of stomach falling second to Liverpool. I mean, I know Slot's first season. I know Salah, Van Dijk, Trent Alexander, these guys are Premier League all-timers. And they've got some great players. It's not good enough. We should have done more. But what I'm trying to say is it's not crazy that over 38 games, these two clubs have been there and done it and have world-class players who have been there and done it, beat us to the title. That's not crazy. But our cup record, Sporting, Olympiacos, Southampton, West Ham, it goes on and on, Nottingham Forest, is absolutely shocking. And Arteta has to take a lot of blame for a lot of that. Martinelli, Timber at right back and right wing. Maybe White and Saka start, but otherwise that's probably his best 11. So you can't really make excuses on that front. I just think Arsenal are failing to get over the line, whatever over the line means to you, winning the Premier League, winning the Champions League, or just getting trophies in general. Now, January, our ownership, our transfer committee, all of that is apart, and we talked about that the other day, and I can't go over it again. I did 1 hour, and I really broke it down as much as I could. But, Arteta's management is a part to play in why we haven't got over the line. Maybe the players' nerve. Because the players I'm sorry, for want of a better phrase, the players look like they absolutely shit the bed. They looked absolutely terrified that first 20, 30 minutes. They couldn't get the ball under control. Saliba was his worst performance in an Arsenal shirt for William Saliba. Partey and Rice couldn't get hold of midfield. Ødegaard was just sort of lashing at anything around the penalty area. Martinez didn't have the beating. Havertz was just bullied in every aspect of the game, though he tried fine. The players that showed the most kind of nerve were Lewis Skelly and Jurriën Timber. So is Arteta not getting them ready right? Is he not preparing them correctly? What's going on? Why do we look so 4-0 on aggregate? Newcastle absolutely bullied us over these 2 legs. Certainly in the second game. First game, I think they had 2 chances and 2 goals, maybe 3 chances and 2 goals. But this second leg, they really were just better than us in every department. They handled the occasion way better, and you could argue there's some pressure on them. Certainly wasn't when they came to the Emirates. Dealt with it absolutely fine. No problem for them. So what is it? Is it a mentality thing? Is it a player quality thing? We talked about player quality. Does Arteta just not manage the cups well enough? I mean, there's a question to be asked there. On the game, look, Isak's phenomenal. Shock. We should have got him when he was a £60 million player, not £150 million player. More failing on the transfer front. Havertz expense. Shock. Martinelli's injured again. We need a forward. Shock. We knew all this. No, Arsenal didn't want to bring the perfect 9. What about every other position that we had to address? What about every other position? We need a winger, a striker, because Jesus and Sterling aren't here for the start next season. Jesus is injured. Sterling, his loan will end. Jesus is out till about January next year. So a striker and a winger. Another creative midfielder, because Ødegaard's the only creative midfielder in the squad. We need probably 2 6s. Call it 1, but probably 2, because Partey and Jorginho aren't signing contracts as things stand. Jorginho was definitely going to go to Flamengo. And then Kivior, Tierney and Zinchenko are all tipped to leave this summer. 1 or 2 of them definitely are. So you need at least 1 player to replace at least those 3. Oh, you need another keeper. That's 6 players. It's a lot of work for Arsenal to do. So to let this window go and have another game where the same old problems, lack of quality in the final third, lack of X factor, lack of magic. Well done to Lewis Skelly and Waneri once again putting themselves about and looking our best players. Shock again, because they are our best players at the moment. 2 of them certainly. But to be relying on them, have given this squad no help. And I'm not. I think the way the squad played, they looked like they themselves were disappointed they didn't get a January transfer over the line. They looked like they needed help. Honestly, the performance almost screamed it. But there we go. This performance screamed nerves. The approach felt erratic and chaotic. They got in behind us. They scored. It was offside. And you thought that was the wake-up call, but it told you that we were open, we were losing second balls, we were all over the place. So Arteta didn't get it right tactically. Mentally, the players weren't in the right place, whether that's on Arteta or the players, I don't know. And ultimately, quality lacked again. So big questions over Arteta and how he manages the cup competitions, because he is beyond failed in that department since winning the FA Cup. But we've kind of forgiven it because he's been challenged for the titles, especially in one season where we didn't expect it. And now there's a hell of a lot of pressure on the Premier League and Champions League. Football, there's more than one competition for a reason. There's plenty of honours to win out there. They're difficult, I know. But Arsenal haven't put themselves in a good enough position and haven't taken a lot of them seriously and haven't... Well, look, there's no other way to dress it up. Let's not be using fancy words. They've simply failed on a lot of those fronts. And that's not good enough. So, yeah, I'm very disappointed. But we don't have to watch them play for 10 days. And I hope when they do come back, they will be refreshed. But, yeah, not good enough. Really not good enough. Same old problems. But we had to talk about that cup record. It's not good enough. Haven't really broken down the game. Can't be bothered. most of the players were absolutely awful today. Awful. What more can I say?